What is up, everybody? Hope everyone's having a great day today. It is Saturday, January 13th, 2024. It is 6 p.m. here in Medellin, Colombia. My name is Andrew Messia, and this is the Medellin Buzz. Hope all of you guys have had a great week or had a great weekend or having a good weekend so far. It's been a good weekend over here. It's been kind of sunny all of a sudden, like all weekend. Well, all weekend meaning yesterday and today. And then right now it just got a little cloudy. But the sun's going down, almost all the way down. And it's been perfect weather, kind of. No rain. It's been really, really nice. So we went out to eat for me and my girl. We went to eat to one of the spots out here. One of the spots out. You can hear me 3 times. Let's see. Hold on. Hi. You can hear me 3 times. Let's see. Hold on. Hi. You can hear me 3 times. Let's see. What's up, Sam? Let's see. What's going on with the sound here? What's up, Sam? Let's see what's going on with the sound here. Why that happens sometimes? Let's see what's going on with the sound here. Why that happens sometimes? Let's see what's going on with the sound here. Why that happens? Oh yeah, there's an echo. What is this? Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, got it. Never mind. All right, I'll do the intro again. Let me close this. Looks like we're okay now. What's up, everybody? Andrew here with the Medellin Buzz. It is January 13th, 2024. It is 6:02 p.m. It's been a beautiful weekend so far. It's Saturday, and still got Sunday tomorrow, Ciclovia. Today has been a beautiful day. No rain, just a bunch of sunshine. Yesterday was the same. It's actually hot. Like, I have to have, like, it's 6 p.m. and I still have to have the air conditioning on because it's been super hot lately. And not hot, it's just muggy. But we know that here in Medellin, we've got like high humidity, so it's been pretty muggy. But yeah, it's been good. So today's topic, I'm going to go over my journey in Medellin. Everyone has their own separate journey in Medellin. Sorry, guys, you guys can't see what I'm doing right here, but I got this for my birthday from my girlfriend. Flor de caña, 12 años. Some rum. Just going to pour myself a little bit. That's good enough for 2 hours, I guess. For the 2-hour stream, I might have to re-up the ice, actually. But flor de caña. Let me see. I'm afraid to touch the camera, actually. I was going to point it down a little bit, but it's kind of sensitive. The camera is kind of sensitive, so I don't want to, like, disconnect it. Then it'll be all over the place. Cheers. Woo, that's good. But yeah, so today's topic is I'm going to go over my journey from being here in 2010 or getting here or being brought here in 2010 to, to present day and my failures and my successes, both in business, personal life, what that's been like. Medellin's going through some changes, has gone through a lot of changes over the last 14 years, and they're continuing to make strides in the city, to change things, and to make it a better city for people wanting to come here and visit and or live here permanently. I never in my life thought that I would be living in Medellin permanently. Like, growing up in Southern California, we immigrated into the United States as tourists. We immigrated into the United States illegally in 1985. We crossed the Mexican border, and as far as I remember, I can't remember. I distinctly remember the plane ride. That was it. The plane ride from Colombia to Mexico. I remember that, but I don't remember anything like before. During that whole process, really, just from what I've heard of our border crossing story. And obviously, as a kid growing up in the United States, I basically felt American. And obviously going through the whole school system there, having all of my American friends, both white, brown, yellow. I had all types of friends from all over the place. Southern California is a huge melting pot. So I never thought, growing up, even as an adult, a young adult in the United States, I never thought that I would be living full time in Colombia. I never did that even cross my mind. I thought, okay, one day I would go visit and see what my home country is like. But I never thought that I would be here full time, living here, And now I'm 43 and I'm about to have a kid. And a lot of things have happened since I got here in 2010 till today, 2024, January 13th. What's up, Zombie? How's it going? Hope you're having a great day. So I'm going to go over my journey. Everyone has a different journey, as I was stating before. Your journey is probably going to be different than mine. Everybody has a separate journey, but we all have things that we can relate to, right? For example, some of the mistakes that I made here early on, and then some of the growing pains that I had, some of the culture clashes that I experienced, coming from Southern California and then abruptly being put into Colombia. There was a ton of culture clashes, a lot of things that I had to learn quickly because I didn't have the luxury of having money to get over the hump on some of the culture clashes. Like, for example, like the whole food thing, the whole, taxi thing, public transportation thing. I had to assimilate very, very fast because I didn't have the luxury of being able to pay for things that are luxurious here. For example, being able to use an Uber every day in Colombia, that is a luxury in Colombia. Using Uber in Colombia is a luxury. It's not something that regular people in Colombia do, because if you're earning Colombian wages, you can't afford that luxury every day or every other day for that matter. You're taking either regular taxis or, more than anything, public transportation. The buses here are always full. The metro's always full. It's like 85 cents to get on the metro. The bus costs like less than $1. It's like 75 cents. I think it's about the same, 85 cents or so for a bus ride to wherever the points of the buses are going. But there's buses everywhere, private buses and also city buses. So that's so back then it was I didn't have that luxury. So a lot of the things that I went through, you might be going through, or you might have to go through when you come down here. Obviously, I say this and I share my life so that you guys can learn from it and also hopefully motivate you, because every day I'm streaming, every week I'm streaming twice a week. I've made that promise to myself, commitment to the channel and to you guys, to be able to share something and that you might be able to take away and say, okay, I'm going to look out for that when I get to Colombia, or maybe even in your personal life, wherever you are in the world, saying, okay, that sounds a lot like what he went through, and I'm going through this. I could definitely get through it, because if he can get through it, I can get through it. So that's what we're talking about. It's negative 38 degrees. Oh, my God. What? Yeah. Sorry, Zombie. I can honestly say I've never been in that weather, and if Zombie can make it, we could all make it, man. Minus 38 degrees Celsius. What is that? Like, what? Zombie, why? Like, what is it about people that live in that weather, that stay in that weather? How and why? Like, I can't believe it. It's hard to believe that someone would stay in that weather. I used to live in a big city, love the bus and metro system, lots of people. Yeah, you meet lots of people, especially in Medellin and Colombia. It's really easy to start a conversation with someone. It's big cities are great. I love big cities. Oh, I hate the cold and can't wait to move down. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I don't despise the cold. I just don't like it. I strongly dislike. Hate is a very strong word. I strongly dislike the cold. I can tolerate it to a certain degree, but I mean, minus 38 is the degree that I can't tolerate. Beast LFC, what's good? How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. Beast says, my flights and you booked your flights and hotels. See you at the networking event. Let's go, guys. By the way, if you don't know, I put up the networking event on the Medellin Buzz Facebook page. It's in the description below. Make sure to go to the Medellin Facebook page, follow it, and RSVP if you're going to be making it for the when is this? It's going to be the 27th, I believe. No, is it? No, it's a Thursday. Sorry, it's a Thursday. It's the 25th. It's going to be a Thursday. We're going to do it at iWay, talking to the owners about that. It should be fun. It's going to be a Thursday, and there's no football that day, so I'm sure it's going to be pretty empty. We'll have the whole place to ourselves. That place can literally take up to like 100 people if it wanted to, but I'm sure we'll have less than that. So it'll be fun. They have good food there. They have fast like bar food as well, and they have drinks. So it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. Going to meet everybody. Even if, like I said before, even if just 5 people show up, me and 5 others, that's a success for me because I want to meet new people. I want to meet people that watch the channel. I want to hear your stories because you guys hear my story all the time. I'd love to hear your stories, how you got down here, where you're from, what do you do for a living, what are your hopes, what are your aspirations for your life, either in Medellin or just visiting, etc. So that's going to be super fun. I can't wait. I think that's amazing. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to meeting you, Beast. Okay, so the topic for today is my journey going from being deported here in Colombia in 2010, arriving in Bogota with zero money and nothing to my name really, other than just a suitcase full of clothes and a laptop, my dad's borrowed laptop that he sent me, and going from that, like zero money, to now owning a few businesses. I don't have to worry about money. I don't have to worry about, where my next paycheck is coming from. I don't have to worry about making rent. I don't have to worry about making, my monthly payments, etc. So along that journey from going from zero to what I am now and where I'm going, because I have big dreams and I have big aspirations and hopes, and plans and goals that I'm working towards. All that through that journey, there's been a lot of ups and downs. So I'm going to go over some of the ups and downs. Let's start with 2010 Medellin. Well, let's start with 2010 in general. So in 2010, I got to Bogota, and Bogota is a big city. It's kind of like Los Angeles. It reminded me a lot of Los Angeles. Bogota reminded me of Los Angeles, yet it was just colder. And every now and then you would see a donkey carrying a little cart. Those are outlawed now, but back then you would still see that, especially on the outskirts of the city. The people that would do recycling and stuff, they would use they're called zorras, the like the fox. I don't know if they translates to fox, female fox for some reason, but they're called zorras, and it was like either a horse or a donkey pulling one of these carts. So for me, right away, the culture clash started as soon as I touched down. My cousin and her husband picked me up from the airport to go, and I crashed with them for a couple months in northern Bogota in a place called Suba. So literally, the car ride. First of all, they had 2 kids, and my grandma was with them. So it was 3 adults in the car, 2 kids. Oh, sorry, 4 adults. Me, my grandma, my cousin, and her husband. Her husband was driving, and then their 2 kids at the time. So it was 6 people in the car. And on top of that, it was super cold and rainy. And third, my cousin's husband drives like a complete maniac, like one of the worst drivers I've been on a lot of taxis and Ubers where the driver's just horrible. He is like top 5, easily top 5 horrible drivers. Just like, this is how he drives, with his hand on the horn, literally driving through the whole city from the airport El Dorado to Suba, which is a good 45 minutes or so. But we made it in like 20 because of his driving was just scary bad. Like, where you're holding on to dear life. And what's going through my head is that this man is driving his entire family, 2 generations, 3 generations, with my grandma, him and his wife and his 2 kids. And I think his wife was pregnant at the time. I don't remember if my cousin was pregnant at the time, but they have like 4 kids now. But anyway, this man was driving like that. So right away, the culture clash started. I was in the car and I was just like, holy shit. I've never been in a car where someone broke so many traffic violations in one journey, in one trip. And so right then, and then obviously as we're going through downtown, because El Dorado is near downtown, as we're going through the city, I should say, not through downtown, but through the city, I'm just looking at this whole city, which is completely different, even though it's very similar to, as far as a big city is concerned, to Los Angeles. Bogota is very, very different as far as the evident poverty level, and also one of the things that struck out as very evident to me and very different was, even though California and LA at the time in the early 2000s and beyond, there was a lot of graffiti in the city, but nothing. I mean, like, I don't think there's a city in the United States. I don't even think New York has the amount of graffiti that, for example, Bogota has. It's literally everywhere. You can't get away from the graffiti. Even in the nice neighborhoods, you'll see graffiti everywhere. So that was another thing that I just looked at, and I'm like, man, this place just looks different. It definitely looks poorer than what Southern California looks like, and the culture clash was very, it came very hard at me. What's up, 916? What's good? So you had no savings prior to your being deported? I had literally I had a credit card. So I had no real savings. I was 28 years old and I was living in Huntington Beach. I was making at the time I was making like $3,000 a month, but I was working for an attorney and I was making between $2,000 to $3,000 a month before getting deported, and I was living in Huntington Beach. If you know anything about Huntington Beach, even back then, rents were, I mean, it's one of the most expensive cities or areas in the world to live in, one of the most expensive cost of livings as well. So I was living in Huntington Beach. I had a studio apartment and I was paying like $1,200 or $1,300 a month, plus my car payment, plus other payments that I had to make. So like I would eat up that $2,000 whenever I would make $2,000, and whenever I would have some left over, I'd spend it on stuff. I wasn't really saving a lot because I wasn't making a ton either. What's up, Queens, New York? What's up, Andrew? The buzz of Medellin. I admire you for standing tall and after being deported. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, you really don't have a choice. You know, once you get backed, for example, if I get backed into a corner, there's nothing else to do but just put your head down and swing for the fences. That's literally what I did. That's the kind of person that I am. If I'm backed in a corner and I'm losing, I'm just going to put my head down and just swing for the fences and rush as much as I can. But I owe that I owe a lot of that to the mentors that I've had. And by mentors, I mean like authors, in motivational and inspirational speakers, writers, authors, people like Grant Cardone, people like Tony Robbins, people like Jim Rohn, people like T.E., people like Oprah Winfrey, literally Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. I've read so much that they've put out and seen so many things that videos that they've put out, etc. Gary Vaynerchuk is one of my favorites as well. Now one of my favorites is Hermosi. He's such an inspiration and such a great person to follow. If it weren't for me being in that world from the very I mean, I had already started on that journey of entrepreneurship, back in 2007. That was really when I started 2006, 2007 was when I started my journey in entrepreneurship, and I got introduced to all those motivational speakers. So if I didn't have that, and then being deported, and I didn't have that to like fall back on, it would have been a tougher journey, because I might have just given up. I might have just said, the world is against me. Everyone, things just aren't working out, and who knows what would have happened. So it was just a different frame of mind that I had. 916, I thought most drive like maniacs in Colombia. Yeah. My cousin's on a different level. My cousin's ex-husband now, because they're not together anymore, he's on a different level. You're coming down, Jack Black, on the 24th. Let's go. You're freezing up there, Jack Black. We're having a meetup on the 25th, actually, of this month. I'm having the Medellin Buzz meetup. If you want to be a part of that, all you got to do is go to the Facebook page. It's in the description below. RSVP for the event on the Facebook page, and I'll see you on the 24th. It's free. Everyone can come. I do have some exclusive networking events that we do with the Medellin Masterclass, but this is completely apart from that. This is the Medellin Buzz. I want to meet new people. I want to make friends. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear where you're from. What do you do? I love that stuff. Elvis, what's up, Elvis? Elvis says, what's cooking, Andrew? I miss Carrera 70, the heart of Medellin. Yeah, La 70 is really cool. I used to live in Laureles, and I'd go to La 70 all the time because I have a friend that has a hostel there who still has that hostel. I think it's like 10 years now. It's been like a decade since he owns it. It's called the Wandering Paisa Hostel, and they have some really fun events. They have a language exchange on Thursdays. They have karaoke night every other Friday. They have open mic night as well, where they have like guitars and a microphone for anybody to come in and play. They have stand-up comedy night sometimes at that hostel. It's a really great hostel. We used to go there all of the time off of La 70. And then after doing whatever we were doing there, we would just go on La 70 and go to one of the clubs out there, or one of the little bars, and just have fun, dance, to El Tibri, Son Havana, go dance some salsa. It was super fun. Do you read Colombian authors? I love Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I have read most of his books. Yeah, I've read the top ones, like 1,000 Years of Solitude, Love in the Time of Cholera. One of my favorite short stories is one of his. It's The Very Old Man with Giant Wings. I don't know if you've ever read that short story. The Simpsons actually did something very similar. They took inspiration for one of their episodes from that short story by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. A lot of people don't know that. That's like some Simpsons real deep trivia, but you should read it. I think they made a movie out of it, like a short movie on Netflix. I don't remember. I think I remember seeing it, but it's not good. Like the short story just kills it. It's so much better. But yeah, anyway, so back in 2010, landed in Bogota, didn't have any money, had to get a regular job. I got a job at a call center, at an English-speaking call center. I was lucky enough to land that job, and I was getting paid like $3 or $4 an hour at that time. The exchange rate was like 1.7 or 1.6, 1,600,000 to $1 back then. And yeah, I was getting paid like $4 an hour, but it was something to do. I needed to get that job because for one, I didn't have any money. I just had a credit card that maybe had like a balance of $1,000 on it. Thank goodness, Capital One. And and then other than that, it was just basically working at that job, which actually helped because right away they had me open up a bank account, and I opened up a bank account with Colpatria. I was getting paid, and I hated the job. I've worked call centers before when I was young. When I was like 19 years old, I worked at call centers, and I was always good. I'm really good on the phone. I'm pretty good at communicating. I'm good at sales. I'm good at customer service. But it was just horrible because a lot of the people calling were from the East Coast, and I'm not used to East Coast people. And there were a lot of Latinos that spoke English, or just straight up gringos like calling to complain about their phone service. And it was just rough. I was just like, man, I do not look forward to working here. But while I was working there, I started to look for jobs online. What did I do? There was two things that I did that really changed my trajectory of my journey in Colombia, from being this broke guy at 28 years old to now, at 43 years old, having multiple businesses and being pretty financially secure. But so one of the things that I did was obviously look for work online. And it was hard. Like literally back then, I literally looked on Craigslist. I would look for, so I knew how to create a website using like WordPress. I knew basic HTML, which I taught myself earlier in life. HTML for dummies from the bookstore. Barnes and Nobles. I remember I bought that. How to HTML for dummies back in the early 2000s. But anyway, I knew how to build a website, and I knew something about digital marketing, about SEO. Back in the day, it was just about backlinks, and you could get thousands of backlinks. Or I learned what backlinks were. I learned what content was, and what the relation was with your rankings on a website. So I knew enough to be dangerous. So I would literally look for opportunities on Craigslist, and I would literally call people up. I had a Magic Jack, which I still have that same exact number for the last 14 years. It was a Magic Jack number. Now, I don't know if you know what a Magic Jack is, but it's a device that you used to put into your USB port, and that device you can plug in a regular landline telephone and make local calls in the United States, local and national calls in the United States. So I had that. So I had a U.S. number, and you pay that yearly. Now I pay it every 5 years. It's like it's really low. I mean, I love the Magic Jack because it's an app on your phone. Like, for example, here, I'll show you. It's awesome. It looks just like your phone. I don't know if you guys ever used Magic Jack? So this is the Magic Jack app. It's literally your phone, but it's a line in the United States. This one's a 949 area code. So I'll call someone, and they're receiving a call like from someone locally, 949. So I would literally look for opportunities on Craigslist, and I would call them up, and I'd say, hey, I saw that you were looking for someone to build you a website. I've been doing this for X amount of years. I would say, like, back then it was like, I've been doing this for 3 years. I'm building up my portfolio, and I can do it for less than what most people would charge you, just because I need to build up this portfolio to be able to sell more of my services. Are you interested? That was my pitch. I've always had a script in everything that I do. With the Medellin Masterclass, we have a script, an elevator speech. For the Medellin Buzz, I have a script or an elevator speech, or my business card. They call it the elevator speech. For everything that I do, for my digital marketing company, I have an elevator speech that I can give you in like 20 seconds or less and let you know exactly what I can do and how I can help you make your life better or your business better. So that's what I would do. I would call up people from Craigslist. And on top of that, one of the biggest things that I did was I had a list, because I worked for a bankruptcy attorney in the United States. So I had a giant list of emails of business owners in California. I had like 200,000 emails because we would do marketing for them at his firm. So I had that list. So what I did was I started to send emails to those 200,000 business owners. But I wouldn't send them individually, like through my, back then I had Yahoo. I wouldn't send it through my Yahoo email address, because if you start sending a bunch of spam, you're going to get blacklisted, and then your email could be gone or whatever. So I learned that, and I learned that I can get an automated service that can send out basically spam. I hate to say it, but I did spam. I had to, because I had I didn't have to, but I did it because I needed the clients. I needed to make some money, and $4 an hour at a Colombian call center was not going to take me anywhere. Granted, I didn't have any educational background. I never graduated from the university. I don't have a degree in anything, so I had to hustle. So I started to email all of these people, 200,000 emails. How did I do it? I found this software. It's legal. Anybody could buy it. They sell it out of the UK. I think it's like $100 to own it lifetime. I still own it. It's called SendBlaster. SendBlaster is a software where you can upload all your contacts, like 200,000 of them if you want. I used to do batches of like 20 or 50. Upload 20,000 email addresses, and then you can set it up to send out emails. What does it use to send out an email? You can buy SMTP email addresses that are like white labeled so that you can send out a ton of emails. And if you get blacklisted, you're just getting blacklisted to that SMTP address, and then you just swap it out and keep sending. So I would send out about 5,000 emails per day, 5,000 emails. And my email read like this. The subject line says, "I've got a client for you." Open rate was pretty good on that. I've got a client for you, because all of these were businesses in the United States. I've got a client for you. And once they opened that, it would say, if you do these 3 things on your, and this is absolutely free information for you. And it would say, like, number 1, optimize your title tags and your meta descriptions. Number 2, optimize your H1, your headers and your subheaders. Number 3, get a couple backlinks from someone that you know, a local business that can link back to your website. And I guarantee you that you're going to rank for the keyword that you want to rank for eventually within the next 3 to 6 months, and you'll get a client. And at the end, it would say, if you don't have the time to do this yourself, contact me. I'm trying to build out my portfolio, and I could do it for less than anybody that you know. And lo and behold, my open rate was like 0.00001 out of 10,000 emails, not open rate, my close rate. Out of 10,000 emails, I would get one client. That was like my ratio. Out of 10,000 emails sent, because obviously not all of them would be open, I would get one client. Yeah, out of 10,000 emails, I would probably get on the phone with 5 people and one person would close. So eventually I started closing and closing. And I remember my first client was a hairdresser in Dana Point, California. She had a little hair salon, and she was paying me $300 to create her Facebook page, manage her Facebook page, and manage her website. And then another person was a personal trainer out of San Diego. She was paying me like $300 a month as well, or $200 a month. So eventually it started to snowball, and I kept sending emails. And then I found out about, that was in 2010, between 2010 and 2011. And then 2011, I had already moved to Medellin, and I was working as an English teacher in downtown Medellin while doing this on the side. So imagine I would wake up at about 5 in the morning, go teach class from 6 a.m. till about 2 p.m. And then once I got home around 3 p.m., I would eat something, and I would get on and work on the computer from 3 to about 10 or 11, and then do that every day, 5 days a week. And then on the weekends, I would just solely be focused on my business, on building more clients and working on the clients. And then eventually, I found out about Odesk. Odesk is now called Upwork, upwork.com. It's a platform for freelancers to be able to put up their profile and have and bid on jobs. So for example, I am a freelancer on Upwork, but I'm also someone that hires, an employer on Upwork. So as an employer, I go in there and I make my profile, and I need a programmer that knows JavaScript. Boom. I'll look through everybody. I'll create a job post, and people could bid on it. And on top of that, if I create the job post, I can also scour all of Upwork for all of the JavaScript people and look at their profiles, look at any of their history, their work history, their ratings, etc. So back then, I was just a freelancer. I created my profile, and I started to actively bid on contracts on Upwork. That's the way Upwork still works today. And there's various online platforms like Upwork.com, Freelancer.com, Guru.com. There's a bunch of new ones as well. Those are the older ones, but there's a bunch of new ones now too, where you can be a freelancer and have your own profile and bid on open jobs for people. And there's jobs for everything. You could do both. If you've got a nice mic like this and that's it, you could literally do voiceovers if you wanted to. If you have a good voice, or if you're confident enough, I think anybody could really do it. You could do voiceovers. If you know Spanish and English, you could translation work. You don't even have to be certified. You just make sure you tell the person that. I never lied to anybody on those platforms. You really can't, because if you don't have a degree and you can't show it, then you can't say that you have a degree. You have to be able to upload the degree, etc. So I never lied on that. I just put my rate, and then I started to actively look for opportunities. So one of the biggest, so that was in 2013, 2014. I was working as a freelancer and working as a teacher. 2015, I had a friend who had a digital marketing company, and he sold it for like $2 million. He's an expat here that still lives here. Him and his business partner sold it for, I think, a little under $2 million, but they did well. And he told me, bro, when you create when you bid on a job, whether it's on Upwork or anywhere else, any platform, let's say you're just emailing someone, don't just send them text. Don't just write, hey, I saw your post. I saw that you have a business and that you can benefit from some SEO work on it. Don't just write text. He said, make a screen capture video using a free software like Loom, Screencast-O-Matic. I think they got bought out by someone else, but I still have my Screencast-O-Matic account, and that's what I use to make screen capture videos. If you've ever seen those in my videos, I use Screencast-O-Matic.com. So he said, video yourself and your screen and show them what you can do. Don't just tell them, don't just write them an email. Show them what you could do in less than 5 minutes, just a couple minutes. Oh, you need to rank for this keyword? Well, check this out. I saw that your competition is doing this, and I started doing that. And then I started winning these bids because everyone was sending in a cover letter saying, oh, I've got this vast portfolio and everything, but no one was sending a video to the prospect. So as I sent those videos, people would contact me and say, hey, no one's ever sent me a video like this. I love it. It proved two things. Number one, that I knew what I was talking about. And I did, for the most part. I learned a lot over the last 14 years about digital marketing, obviously. And number two, that I was a native English speaker, because a lot of the people that work on these freelancer websites are from other countries. So their communication isn't great because there's a language barrier. And also the time zone difference is huge, because if someone is bidding on a contract in the United States, but they're in India, there's like a 14-hour difference, right? Or in the Philippines, it's going to be a huge difference in time zones. So I was knocking back these objections by making that video. And that's what sales is about, right? Is basically to answer all of the objections before the objections even come. So that's what I was doing with that video. So as I started making those videos to people, they were contacting me back, and I started to get bigger and bigger accounts. And when I'm talking about bigger, it's like $500 a month. And then eventually someone for $1,000 a month. And then in 2016, I got my biggest contract, which was a $2,000 per month contract for a drug and alcohol rehab center in the United States. At the time, I was still teaching English, and I was living with my business partner in a building, in an apartment here. I had moved from downtown to El Poblado because he needed a roommate, so I was working out of that apartment and living with him, and then we became business partners around 2016. We started working together on projects, and this $2,000 client started paying, and I was still learning. I was still learning digital marketing, but since they were in the drug and alcohol rehab space, they were really impressed with me, because remember, I went to prison for a couple years in 2002 for drugs. If it wasn't evident enough. Now, I went to prison, and part of my punishment was obviously doing time, but also it was to attend AA meetings, NA meetings, anger management, family counseling. Even when after my bid, I had to do that outside for a few years. So I knew the drug and alcohol rehab game. That lingo. I knew the jargon. I knew the steps. I knew everything within that, because I had experienced it myself. Even though I don't have addiction problems, I had to go through that because it's part of my punishment, but I was able to understand it. So when they hired me to do backlinks for their websites. They were super impressed with me, because they're like, how do you know so much about our industry? Have you ever worked for any other drug and alcohol rehab center? I'm like, no, I had a cousin that went through it. That client today is my biggest client, and they had one center back then in 2016. Today they have like 12 different centers across multiple industries, teen mental health, adult mental health, online mental health, and drug and alcohol rehab. So it was a great journey with that client. But if it wasn't for my 2002 stint in prison, I would have never landed that job, I don't think, or I wouldn't have kept it, because that was what solidified it, because they had gone through so many contractors on Upwork at the time that they were like, this is kind of our last hope that someone can help us do digital marketing for our drug and alcohol rehab center that's kind of new. They were like 2 years old, but they had no traction. They were spending thousands of dollars on AdWords. So we went from helping them, we reduced their ad spend from, they were spending about $80,000 to $100,000 a month on Google Ads to fill their beds, to at one point they were only spending $2,000 a month, because we got them to like the top pages or the top results in Google for like drug rehab in Boise, drug rehab in Idaho, et cetera, because that's where they were from. But yeah, so that was a crazy journey. That was from the 2016 I got that client up until today. I still have that client. That's my digital marketing company. But really, the tide started turning around 2018 for me. We got an office, a physical office with our whole team in it. And then the pandemic hit. We had to close it all. But then forming a business in Colombia, because that's a whole other story. Like finding the clients and working for the clients and making the money was one journey. And then once I was able to make enough money where I was hiring people here, then I had to learn about the entities and the contracts for employees down here, which is different than in the United States. And it's pretty expensive, to be honest. But I had to learn all of that through trial and error. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made was hiring people full-time as full-time employees before my business was established, because it was a big money spend. I thought it was going to be kind of easy. Like in the United States, you could hire people per hour. You can hire them as independent contractors. You could do that as independent contractors here, but to a certain degree. If they're working out of an office, then they could technically be employees. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that foreigners make, when not only foreigners, but even locals, when they establish a business here, is the misclassification of employees, classifying them as independent contractors and then having them work in an office setting or meet up with them constantly, or having them on board for a certain amount of hours per week, etc., where it would technically be that they are a full employee, and if they want to sue, they can and win in court because they have proof that they've been working for you in this other classification. And I've seen that time and time again with people making mistakes out here developing businesses. So that's a super important thing to remember when you're hiring someone out here, even if it's just hiring a cleaning lady and you're paying her under the table. You could be misclassifying her, and she could win in court if she sues you for you letting her go with no explanation and no severance. I've seen that happen too. Let's say hi to some of the people that just came in. What's up, Theo? How's it going? Medellin is amazing. Echo check, please. You hear an echo? There shouldn't be an echo. Oh, maybe you're watching the replay of the beginning. Yeah, there shouldn't be an echo. Shaw, what's up, Shaw? Back in 2008, I used to use the Magic Jack. Yeah, I still use the Magic Jack. Like, for example, for all my banking in the United States, like I use the Magic Jack for like verification codes, etc. It's great. Granted that some banks don't allow you to verify using voice over IP. But the great thing about so for example, I use Bank of America, and to do verification of, like, let's say I use a new computer and I want to get into my Bank of America, it's going to ask me for the two-factor authentication, and the second factor is them either texting you a code or calling you now. So you can opt to call, because if they text you, they'll say we can't text a voice over IP number, and that's what a Magic Jack is, voice over IP. So you just hit the call one, and then it calls you, and they give you the code. So that there's a workaround there. So the Magic Jack has been a lifesaver for me in all of those aspects. Same with Remitly and Wise. I use both of those, and both of those will verify using the Magic Jack. I don't have to use anybody else's phone number in the U.S. or anything like that. I use my Magic Jack number. It's such a great tool. Literally, it's probably it's the one tool I've used for the last 14 years here in Colombia consistently that has helped me with primarily banking and account verifications in the United States. Queens, New York says, did you get stigmatized for being Colombian while being raised in LA? I got to know Colombia because of the great coffee you guys have not because of the bad rep. No, yeah. In the 80s and 90s, anytime in my 26 years that I lived in the United States, anytime I told someone that I was from Colombia, the first thing they would mention would be cocaine or Pablo Escobar. So at one point, I just wouldn't mention it, and most people just thought I was Mexican. They would classify me as Mexican, and I love Mexican people, so I wouldn't even say anything. Literally towards the end of my stay there in 2010, I was okay with being classified as Mexican. Multi-millionaire legend, what's up? I'm in Medellin now and been here since November. It has uh, it has really been amazing. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's a lot of bad things that have happened or that happened in 2023. Yes, crime rate did go up. Yes, it's been horrible for some of the people, unfortunate people that have been drugged and overdosed or whatever, and robbed and even passed away last year. But aside from that, Medellin is pretty amazing, and it continues to be amazing. And like I said in my previous streams, man, this new mayor, he's kicking it into gear right now, man. He's kicking it into gear. He's doing some crazy stuff that I don't agree with. Some of the things that he's been saying, I don't agree with, but he is, for the most part, I agree with what he's doing as far as trying to clean up the city and make it a safer city for everyone, not only the locals but also tourists. So it's going to be even a more amazing city, and those that miss out on it are going to be sorry. I guarantee it. Shaw says, I get those emails every day. Now in my business email, they use screen captures showing me my websites. Yeah, exactly. So imagine back in 2011, nobody was doing that. So when I started doing it, people were like, yeah, I'm responding to this guy because no one, but I show my face too on the screen capture. Like, even if it was like back then, it was like a fuzzy camera, it doesn't matter. I'd be like, hi, I'm Andrew. I'm calling, or I'm sending you this message because of this, that, and the other. Theo, what's up, Theo? We'll be there mid-March. I come to Medellin every 2 to 3 months. Let's go, Abraham. Theo Abraham. Guys, today I'm having a glass of this because I'm going to go watch football after this. It's Flor de Caña, 12 años, some rum. Where is this from? Is this from Panama? I don't even remember where this is from. Oh, this is Nicaragua. Oh, yeah, this is Nicaragua. It's really good. Literally, for 2 hours, I can sip on this. I'm not much of a drinker. Ah, that's good. That's Nicaragua liquor. Yeah, I've never had it. It's the first time. It's really tasty. So that was my journey from 2010 to about 2018, from being completely broke to making about $2,000 a month, or generating a little over $2,000 a month, because I was working as an English teacher. I had that one client that was paying $2,000 a month. I had a couple other clients that were paying, the equivalent of like 1,000 or 2,000 more. So, and I had a small team. We got an office, me and my business partner, here in Manila. We got an office that we split with another friend of ours that had already an established team. He also worked in programming. So we were splitting an office in 2018 till 2019, when the pandemic started. We closed that down. Michael Sands, at what point did you start to feel successful during your business journey? I know exactly when. It was 2000 and it was after the pandemic, really. It was 2021, like 2000. Yeah. So get this. This is how crazy life works. And I don't know if you guys ever listen to like motivational speeches. I highly recommend that you do. It's something that I do almost on a daily basis. I listen to them on Spotify. I listen to podcasts. I'm just a nerd. I consume a lot of content around the things that I like to do. Like right now, I'm learning how to invest in the S&P 500 because the stuff that I have in there right now is just not going to grow at the rate that I want it to grow, and I need to be smarter. So I'm listening to podcasts, doing tutorials, etc. So I don't know if you've ever heard the commencement speech that Steve Jobs gave to the graduating class of Harvard of 2007, I believe it was. Either 2005 or 2007. Anyway, he goes through kind of his journey of growing up, in California, in the, what do you call it, near San Francisco, and dropping out of college and doing all these things that he did because he was following his heart, following his gut. And he, not until he was a successful person could he connect the dots, right? Looking backwards. And that's one of his big statements. He said, you can't connect the dots looking forward into the future because you don't know why you're doing something sometimes. Sometimes you're just doing it because your gut tells you to do it, or sometimes you're doing some stuff because a mentor told you that it's a good idea. Someone's encouraging you to do it, but you can't connect the dots yet. You won't be able to connect the dots until you're farther along the line and you're looking backwards. So now looking backwards at my life, I can connect the dots. I can connect the dots why I had to go to prison for 2 years and learn about AA and NA, because without that, I wouldn't have the digital marketing company that I have now. I had to run a red light, not a run a red light, roll a stop sign, get a bunch of parking tickets, and get deported from Colombia in order to be able to catapult my digital marketing career and business, and then ultimately living a great life. So the pandemic happened in 2019, 2020. Everything shut down in the United States. All of my clients just stopped. Like literally, we were making pretty darn good money. We had started to make really darn good money back then, and my clients just said, we've got to stop paying you because everything is on shutdown. All of their drug and alcohol rehab clinics were closed. No one was working. Everyone was at home. I'm like, okay, I just got to give it time. I'm like, no matter what, everything will be okay. It's better than being stuck in a cell. So that's what I gauge my pain. That's my threshold of pain. Anything is better than being stuck in a cell. And I've been in solitary confinement for 2 weeks. Anything is better than that hole. So this too shall pass, right? I love the serenity prayer. Even though I'm not Christian, Catholic, or religious or anything, love the serenity prayer. I say that when things were getting rough, I was like, okay, just grant me the serenity, right? To know, to be able to have the courage to face the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between the things that I can change and can't change, or can and can't change. So as that was happening, literally like 3 months passed by, and my client called back and said, we've been granted the status of being an emergency service. So now we're like the only thing open. Their business just blew up. Like mental health and addiction recovery blew up because of the pandemic. And I've never told anybody this or made this public because I feel bad, right? Like it was a horrible time for most of the world. For us, it was what catapulted me and my business and my career, because I was working in an industry that was an emergency type industry for people that were isolated, because people being isolated and being addicted to things and not being able to meet with people in their groups, AA meetings, NA meetings, etc. They, Al-Anon meetings, etc. They're not going to, they were relapsing at like tremendous rates. And then on top of that, remember that the fentanyl pandemic, or the fentanyl epidemic was dubbed an epidemic by Donald Trump before the pandemic. So it was all this epidemic of this fentanyl epidemic was already happening before the pandemic hit. And then the pandemic hit, and all these people are shut off from their groups of recovery and stuff. So people were relapsing on alcohol and fentanyl. Those are the two major drugs in the United States, aside from sugar, that kill people every single day. And nicotine, right? I think those are like the top four. Sugar, number one. I think tobacco, and then heroin, fentanyl, or whatever is number four, and alcohol, right? That's like the ladder. But yeah, anyway, so that's what catapulted it. But I was at the right place at the right time, because years ago, decades ago, a decade ago, almost decades ago, more than a decade ago, I had gone through some shit that made me learn this stuff, and I kept chugging along, and I kept positive, and I kept learning. Every day I learned something. I try to learn something. Robert says, get into crypto. I'm already there, bro. I just bought and hold. I learn from people's mistakes. I don't keep my crypto in this thing. I don't keep it in my computer, even though it's a desktop. I keep it in a little flash drive device. I keep all my crypto information in there. I haven't opened that in the last year and a half at least. I haven't looked at it. I have it in there. I bought it early, and I'm not going to look at it for the next 10 years or so. But crypto is the thing. to be diversified in. Advice, please. Met a seemingly lovely 40-year-old woman on Cupid. No way. Wait, okay, let's read this. I love these stories. Okay, so RKER TV, Riker TV says, advice, please. Met a seemingly lovely 40-year-old woman on Cupid, on Colombian Cupid, I'm assuming. Verified her name. Owns a public business. Met her kids and siblings through pics and live video calls. What else to verify? You just got to come here, bro. You literally, that's the best thing you could do is come here to meet her. Set up the date. When are you coming down to meet her? Literally. I would say this to anybody, even if it's someone in the U.S. meeting somebody else in the U.S., but they're across country or maybe in different states. If you're meeting someone, the only way to make it real is to make it real and to actually meet physically, because that is going to answer a lot of the questions that you may have right away. And on top of that, I think that, you've got the date for February. Let's go. So that's a great thing to do right there, is to, once you get down here and once you meet, that first meeting, it's going to be in a public place, right? You're going to go to either a mall, you're going to go to a restaurant during the day or in the evening in Provenza, whatever. Make sure that there's people, make sure that people know that you know where you're going. Even if it's just like, if you're staying at a hotel, tell the desk, say, hey, I've got a date with a girl. I'm going to be going to this restaurant. I should be back by 12. Literally, this is what you should do in this day and age in Medellin. Just because you can never be too careful. You tell the people at the front desk, hey, I've got a date with this girl. It's the first time I'm meeting her. I've been talking to her for months. You could tell them. And I'm sure people have told them this before, because this is where we're at in Colombia right now. I should be back by 12. If I don't, give me a call. If I don't answer, call the police or something like that, right? It may sound kind of outrageous, especially if you're coming from the United States, but that's what I would do. If I were new to Colombia and I was in your same situation, meeting up someone that I've only met on the internet through video calls, etc., I would still be cautious and let people know where I'm going and when to expect me back. If not, then there was a problem, right? JD, what's up, JD? Also would recommend having a PI do a background check on her. You really don't know the person. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if there are PIs that do background checks here. I've never done it, and I don't know anybody, but that would be a great idea if you could get someone to do a background check on her. Regardless, a background check on her, I think it's public. You can go through, for example, when you get a job here, you're supposed to pull your own background check. Like, you can get that. As a Colombian. I remember because I've gotten 2 jobs in Colombia. One was at the call center and one was teaching English here. And for both, they required me to have my antecedentes, which is your criminal history. It's called antecedentes. And you can literally get that from the government, from the national police database, and they print it out for you. And mine is obviously blank because I've never done anything here. And then you give that to your employer. So I believe that there are websites now that do that, which you may be able to pay just a one-time fee to check someone's ID number to get their antecedentes. But yeah, you might want to check in one of the groups, like the Facebook groups of like foreigners here. Yep, get friendly with the front desk. They will look out for you. Yeah, they usually hotels are really good about that. Cheers, man. Full respect. Thanks, RK. Good luck with your girl. Johnny V says, isn't Uber about some price? Isn't Uber about the same price as taxi? Yeah. Uber, the difference between taxi and Uber, it's negligible. And if you're making dollars or you're coming down here from the U.S. and you have dollars, the price of an Uber is, again, negligible. Usually, the most I've ever paid for an Uber is like $12 because, first of all, I'm not going very, very long distances. I'm going within, like here to Laureles, maybe would be the longest that I would drive somewhere. Even when I was playing basketball for tournaments and stuff, sometimes I'd have to go to Bello for a tournament. Sometimes I'd have to go to Envigado for the tournament games. Sometimes I'd have to go to like Alfonso Lopez, which is by Robledo, etc. So it was kind of long trajectories, but it'd never be over like $12. So it's pretty cheap. Multimillionaire Legend says, I think I saw you 2 Sunday mornings ago. On the if it was on Ciclovia, I'm always on Ciclovia on Golden Mile. On the side of the street, they shut down for walking and jogging. Yes, every Sunday. You probably did. I usually wear a hat because I don't take a shower in the morning, so I just put a hat on and just go straight out to Ciclovia, and I walk all the way down Golden Mile from Parque Poblado to go to Hija Mia, which is on the Golden Mile near Oviedo, the Oviedo Mall, and or past the Oviedo Mall, and then I'll walk back. Or sometimes I'll hit up Santa Fe if I need to buy something or just check stuff out there. Or Panamericana, one of my favorite stores, Panamericana, and also K-Tronics. K-Tronics is an electronics store. I love just going in there to window shop. I don't know, I'm just weird. Jordan Berg says, random question: what is life like in the Rio Negro, Llano Grande area, safety-wise and things to do? Love the channel. Hey, thanks a lot, Jordan. Hope you're having a great Saturday evening. Rio Negro and Llano Grande, they're small towns. Hold up. I'll tell you right now what the population is. Let's look at the population. Rio Negro. This will tell you everything. Rio Negro population. So Rio Negro's population is 128,000 people. And Llano Grande, I think, is even smaller. Llano Grande is only 2,023 people. That's the latest census was 2020, so it can't be much more than that. So Llano Grande is 2,000 people. Rio Negro is about over 100,000 people, but they're small towns. I could do everything to do in Rio Negro in probably 2 hours. So you'll get bored fast if you like diversity, if you like to go to different restaurants, if you like to go to different places to maybe have a beer, have coffee. If you want really good coffee, you might not get it there. As a matter of fact, you probably won't get it there. It's not like they have cafes with $15,000 espresso machines. No, it's like literally like the mom and pop type coffee here, which is really bad coffee. Colombians don't know how to drink coffee still to this day. That was one of the big culture clashes, or one of the big surprises that I got when I got to Colombia in 2010. I'm like, well, I love coffee. I'm ready to taste some great Colombian coffee. People out here, people out here prefer to drink coffee that costs 500 pesos off the street. That's just watered down, burnt up coffee, residuals of the coffee that's exported, than to drink their wonderfully, beautifully exported coffee. Now there's a bigger coffee scene here, like cafes, espresso cafes, etc. There's better coffee shops here, but back when I first got here, there wasn't even one. It was like it was Juan Valdez, and Juan Valdez is garbage compared to like Pergamino, Hija Mia, and some of the other really great cafes that exist nowadays. Like the only reason I will ever get Juan Valdez is if I go to like the movies, the premiere, and I want like a cup of coffee. I'll get like an Americano, but it's not nearly as good as like a V60 or a pour over from Hija Mia, Pergamino, etc. So safety wise, since it's such a small town, and especially Llano Grande, it's an upscale town. It's like Llano Grande is kind of like the equivalent of the suburbs of like a big city in the United States, where the rich people have either their summer homes or their residences. So that's a super safe little town. Rio Negro is safe as well because it's super small. There's not much for thieves to steal out there. I've never heard of safety issues in either of those. You went to a coffee plantation in Copacabana. Yeah, that's where you can find some great coffee. But again, it really depends. Like coffee being roasted and is one part of the process. Growing and roasting the coffee. Growing the coffee is one part of the process. The second part is the actual roasting of the coffee. And then the third part is the preparation of the roasted coffee and the form that it takes when you actually prepare it. So if there's a mess up in one of those three parts, your coffee's not going to be that great. JD says, sorry, brother. Buenas noches. Great stream. Background check if you plan to spend more time with her. Yeah. It's not about the money. It's your life. Move wisely. Yeah. I mean, the background check for me would be unnecessary, especially if you come down here and you're confident that she's good. You've already met with her. She's 40 years old, bro. Like I would do a background check if you are 60 years old and you're trying to date a 25-year-old and she's loving you and she's all over you and she's like, "Oh, we need to meet. And you're not even in the country, then I would be like, "Okay, you should probably do a background check or have someone check her out." But if it's a 40-year-old woman with kids and a family and you've Skyped with her or whatever, FaceTimed with her, and it seems like a legitimate relationship so far, by the time you get here, go through the customary precautions like letting people know where you're going to be when you first meet her, meeting her in a public place, letting your front desk know that you should be back at a certain hour. If they don't, then to call you or to call the police immediately, tell them exactly where you'll be, what restaurant, etc. Go through those precautions and you should be fine. The background check, I think, really should be for people that are, there's like a huge age gap and it's a young girl from the hood that really, really wants to meet you. Then it's like, skip the background check. Just don't even go for that. That's just a setup. I did ATV today in Rio Negro, multimillionaire. Let's go. I love that. I was with a guy last week. I might have been with somebody. I usually, every time I walk down Ciclovia, I meet somebody, a friend or something. I'll see a friend and I run into and I walk with them. David says, love the channel. I have a question. I'm opening up a company in Medellin in a week. Where is a good place to buy a lot of computers for the employees? Depends on what type of computers, but go to Monterrey. Monterrey is a shopping center here in El Poblado. It's near the Poblado metro station. It's a whole shopping center. It's a mall. It's a 2-story mall full of all electronic stores, little independent electronic stores. It's like a mall. Every location has something to do with electronics. A lot of computers are moved through there, gaming consoles, audio equipment, repair shops are in there as well. Go to Monterrey. That's a great place. David says, oh, that was David. Shaw says, I laugh out loud. I hate the small cups they serve the coffee in. In America, our cups are large. Portion control, buddy. Portion control. That was another culture clash that I had to go through when I first got here in 2010 was the size of everything. I'm 6'3". I don't, in pounds, I don't even know. In kilos, I'm 98 kilos. Whatever that is in pounds, probably like 190 something pounds. But yeah, the size of everything was so tiny to me. Like from the portions that they gave me for food, even the hamburgers are smaller here, to the cups, the coffee cups. Even at Starbucks here, you'll notice that there's a difference in size with the Starbucks coffee cups out here. Just people here aren't obese and people are smaller here. Yeah, it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that in America that's standardized now, where a large here in Colombia, a large is the same as a small in the United States. A large cup in Colombia is the equivalent of a small cup in the United States in McDonald's, in Starbucks, Juan Valdez, you'll see them. And the small here is like this small. It's like, that's the small for them here. And you'll see grown people that are big as well. That's what they get used to. But it's also evident how much obesity is not a problem in Colombia as much as it is in the U.S. We still suffer from health issues. You know, there's high blood pressure issues here. I think the leading cause of death in Colombia is like heart disease and high blood pressure, etc. And it has to do obviously with diet. A lot of our ailments in the world, I think, are due to diet, but you see that here. Multimillionaire says, I've been getting the best fruits and vegetables from Bloque Naranja. Nice. Familia Sanchez. What's up, Familia Sanchez? There's no such thing as a real relationship in Medellin. It's all a good time. Family Sanchez, you remind me of the person that was bit by a snake and then is scared of a piece of rope. Who bit you, my friend? And I'm sorry. Juan Palacio, man, a 40-year-old with children be grinding foreigners even more than these young 604. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it hasn't been my experience. Again, I don't date 40-year-olds. But yeah, David, thank you, brother. No worries. RKER TV says, Juan, grinding is okay. Drugging, robbing, that's another issue. Yeah, that's another issue. So yeah, just be cautious. Be cautious out here. So yeah, so my journey from 2010 to 2018 was just literally hustling. I was working every single day. I was partying a lot too. Don't get it twisted. It wasn't like my business career and my business success would have been much more faster if I hadn't partied as much, because I was 28 living in Colombia. I was working a normal job here, so I was making local friends immediately. I was a teacher here, and I was teaching young adults. So not only were my colleagues my friends, but I was also making friends with all of the students. Had such a great time meeting all of them, and I'm still friends with many of them to this day. And at the same time, I had my side hustle making dollars. So I was making a little bit more than a regular person would in Colombia. I was still living in neighborhoods like Calasanz, which is a Strato 4, La Floresta, which is a Strato 4 as well. I lived in downtown for a year and a half in Las Torres de Bomoná, and also by Punto de la Playa, which is near Parque del Periodista. If you know anything about Medellin, those are all very working class neighborhoods, Strato 3, 4s, and then eventually I started making more money, and I made my way back to El Poblado, where I really loved to be, and I love to be. I don't want to go back to the hood. It's like, you're gonna have to pull me back there if you want me there. Jerbo, what's up? Jerbo says, dímelo, Andrew. Acabo de entrar al live. ¿Dónde me puedo registrar para el network event? On the Facebook page. Go to the Facebook page. In the description, there's a link to the Medellin Buzz Facebook page. We're going to have a networking event or a meetup, a Medellin Buzz meetup on the 24th of January. In 2 weeks, we're going to meet up on Thursday evening, have some drinks or maybe food, and meet everybody. Even like I said, even if it's just me and 5 other people, I don't care how many people go. I just want to meet people. I want to make new friends. I want to learn about you. I want to get to know you. I love networking. I love making connections with people. That's why I made this channel, because even though I'm here talking inside of my office by myself, I feel like I'm talking to you, watching me out there, and hopefully one day we get to meet in person. That would be amazing. Maybe share a drink, maybe have a cup of coffee, maybe share a meal. That would be awesome. 916 says, your thoughts on the new mayor's response to saying foreigners are hurting the youth of Colombia by using dating apps, not addressing the people that are committing these crimes. That's a typical Colombian politician thing to do. That's one of the things that I don't agree with. It's what you call a straw man argument. It's called a straw man argument in politics, where you are demonizing something that is acceptable in culture, in order to get people on your side. So he's not addressing the real issue, that Colombia has legalized prostitution and has decriminalized drug use. So obviously people are going to travel, whether it's within Colombia, other Colombians coming to Medellin to indulge in this, or from outside of the country to indulge in this, because this is what you are telling the world. We've legalized it and decriminalized it. Come do whatever you want. And instead turning around and saying that kids are being whatever. You've heard the statement. I don't want to repeat it here because I don't want to be demonetized on the platform, but you know what he said. He's talking about, foreigners coming down here to take advantage of people. And the fact of the matter is that Colombians are taking advantage of Colombians and selling them to foreigners, or selling themselves to foreigners. That's what it is. That you got to call a spade a spade. I don't agree with what he said, but I do agree with the measures that he wants to put in place. Meaning that if you come and commit crimes as a foreigner, you got to pay time here. Right? That's great. But on top of that, I bet you that he's going to also crack down on people committing crimes against foreigners and others in Colombia. These people that are drugging and robbing people and eventually sometimes killing them. He's going to crack down and he's cracking down on that as well. So if he has to say this, okay, I don't agree with it, and I think it's ignorant and it's a bad way of doing politics, and that's what he's doing. He's being political about it to gain more Colombians on his side. Because imagine if he said it's because of you Colombians that our country is a shithole. What kind of votes would he get in the next election? What kind of votes would he get when he runs for president? Because he will run for president again. If he tells Colombian people what it is, he probably wouldn't get too much backing. So it is what it is, but I do believe that it's going to help improve the city. The 24th, you're going to be in Palomino. Sorry to hear that. Don't worry, we're going to do one every month anyway. Juan Palacio says, how did you manage to make more money after BlendX? What did you do? I started working online. I started getting clients online to build websites, to do search engine optimization, digital marketing, and I hired people that were smarter than me, literally, and partnered with a partner that's light years away from me in IQ and vision, creativity. That I partnered with people and helped them make money. Like literally, if you want to make money, you help other people make money and you worry about yourself second. Like that's what I've done my whole life. And the people that I've helped to make money, they don't have as many responsibilities as I do now. Like I've got my parents that I take care of. My brother works for me and he's married with his wife. I've got a baby on the way with a girlfriend. So I've got responsibilities that I have to take care of, but I've always put myself second and other people first. So if I help you make money, if I help you make $20,000 a month, imagine if I can make $10,000 a month off that, but working less than what you're working, I'm happy with making $10,000 a month. And that's my mentality. Yeah, so that's it. Michael Sands, how long have you owned Airbnbs and what prompted you to get into the real estate? So Michael Sands, what prompted me to buy apartments here was, again, my responsibility to my parents, my family, and now my future family. I wanted to have something that regardless of what, because being an entrepreneur, you have a healthy fear that one day, tomorrow, everything will just be gone. Your clients will leave you. There'll be no more income coming in, and you ain't got shit. Excuse me. I gotta turn this air off. It's like the dust flies around here. Excuse me. So as an entrepreneur, I have this healthy fear that one day everything's gonna turn to shit and everyone's gonna leave me, and I'll be back to where I was at square one with $0 a month. So I have that in the back of my mind. It's not a paranoia. It's just a healthy fear. So when I was making enough money to buy my properties cash here, I said, I want to have enough properties so that if anything happens, I will have a place to live in. My parents have a place to live in. My brother has a place to live in. My sister has a place to live in. Like no matter what happens in the world, whatever happens with them personally, there's a place for them where they don't have to pay shit, just electricity, utilities, right? So that was my MO. That was my number one. And that's why I always tell people that want to buy real estate in Colombia that the number one reason you're investing in Colombia is investing in yourself, in your lifestyle, because the Colombian peso isn't ever going to be stronger than the US dollar, at least not in our lifetimes. And it's always going to be devalued against the US dollar. And historically, it's proven to be true. So I'm not banking on being able to resell that property and make a ton of US dollars. I'm keeping those properties because they're for my family. I don't need to live in them, and nobody needs to live in them. So we remodeled them to look amazing and beautiful. And if I can make $2,000 to $2,500 a month on them, plus I'm super happy with that, and that's another stream of income. So that's what prompted me to get into real estate and into the Airbnb game. But ultimately, the number one reason is for family and for a safety net for me, because I never had that before. And now that I have that, I move with more confidence. When I want to do a new business venture, I have more confidence to do it because I have experience. But on top of that, I have this thing to fall back on that I know that if everything goes sour, at least I have this and it's mine. Does that make sense? Let's see. Did I miss anything? Oh, Michael, sorry. Familia Sanchez. I use Bumble every time in Medellin. I've never had a problem. I have lived there for 6 months. Nice. Yeah, Bumble. I used Bumble a couple times. I've never met anybody off Bumble. Just grant. I don't remember the last time I've used a dating app or met someone off the dating app. It has to be a few years ago, because I meet a lot of people just organically. Because I live here, right? If you're here for a limited time, then I understand using these dating apps because you want to fast track that process. But for me, I've lived here, man. If I could tell you, so excuse me, having a girlfriend and getting pregnant, it's like the cockroaches have come out through the woodwork, and that's the best way that I can explain it. Like, even women that I thought would never be interested in me, we were just friends. We were just acquaintances. They're texting me. They're messaging me. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's my pheromones have changed or something. But it's like, I almost feel like slapping them. Like, why didn't you tell me this before? But that's just the way life works. But I'm super happy now. And I love my life. Can you share your social media marketing company you work with? My social media marketing company is called MD Digital here in Medellin. And we don't have a website. I don't do any marketing for that. All my clients I get just through referral. Yeah, it's just MD Digital, but there's no website. There's really no information. There's information in the Chamber of Commerce, but it's just that with the type of company that we are. Yeah. 69 way better. God bless you, Andrew. God bless you, my friend. Thank you. The Nifty 50. By the way, the Nifty 50, did you name yourself after, where is it? I have a Nifty 50. It's a lens, right? I have a Nifty 50. I have a Canon Mark 50, and I've got a Nifty 50. I know my camera is not the best. I should get a better one, but I'm going to reinvest into the channel this year. I missed, Shaw says, I missed the Medellin podcast. I missed the Medellin Buzz podcast. Got good tips from the guests on how experience Medellin. Oh, you mean the Colombia podcast? Yeah. Nifty 50 says, I'm a mere weeks away from moving to Cali, but like tuning in since the advices aren't so different. Yeah. Cali and Medellin, life is pretty the same. I mean, the same precautions. The same thing applies in Cali. It's just life is cheaper. The cost of living is cheaper in Cali. It's a smaller city, more underdeveloped than Medellin, but still a great place. I love Caleños. I love the people there. I love their culture. La Feria de Cali every year at the end of the year. I have been to it 3 times in December, 3 distinct Decembers. Such a fun time. Yeah. B2, being that you live in Colombia, would you rather own an Airbnb in Colombia or U.S.? U.S. If you already own the property outright, yeah. If you don't own property in the U.S. and you your first investment's going to be in Colombia, I would reconsider. Unless if you're doing really well and you're diversified. But usually, I tell people that owning property in the United States is more secure investment. You're going to make more money over time on appreciation, and your dollar is going to go a lot farther here in Colombia. Even if you get a property in the United States and in 5 years get a home equity line of credit to buy a property in Colombia or something like that, would make more sense than being Colombia your first investment. Because in Colombia, and especially if you don't plan on living in Colombia the rest of your life, because that's a big decision. If you say, okay, I'm going to be like me, I'm Colombian and I plan to live in Colombia for the rest of my life. Having properties here is great, and I don't plan on ever converting that money back into dollars. I don't need to, because I'll always be here. I'm going to die here. In that case, go, have yourself a ball. Go buy a property here. Buy 2, buy 3. That's what I did. Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. He says, I have a carpet installing business in the United States. Do you think I can make money installing carpets in Medellin? I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. You'd have to do market research. You'd have to do market research on that. I have no idea. Carpet. I haven't seen carpet in years in an apartment. In Colombia, I don't think any of the apartments have. They're all tile. Like this is, oh, you can see it back there. This is a laminated floor to look like rocks. It's actually pretty nice, but this floor is like 30 years old. I had it buffed and waxed, and it looks really great. And I think they do that with that purpose so that you never have to replace carpets and stuff. So I don't know if you can. I'm just telling you my experience in every single apartment I've ever lived in here, whether the apartment building was 40 years old or 15 years old. I've never seen carpet in an apartment. So you have to do market research on that. Andy, thoughts on turnkey apartments, new construction? Thoughts on turnkey apartments, new construction? Turnkey as ready to rent, right? I'm assuming you're going to have to furnish them. I'm assuming that you're going to have to do the marketing to rent them as well. If you're going to be doing it on Airbnb, a lot of people think that they could just buy an apartment here, put it up on Airbnb, and people are going to start filling in. That's not the case anymore. That used to happen 2 or 3 years ago, but today you have to do some marketing. You have to play with the numbers. I have my personal assistant doing Facebook posts, Facebook ads for my properties. Granted that I have them all rented out up until July now. So imagine it's January and I have my properties. There's holes. There's some holes, like a few days, like in April that is open in one of the properties. But for the most part, we're rented up until July, like the beginning of July, and it's only January. But that's only because we've been doing hardcore marketing on Facebook ads, messaging people messaging us. I literally showed the apartment today to a couple that's going to be here all year, and they want to take it not in March, and after the person leaves in July for the rest of the year. So that's the type of work that you got to do. It's not like I'm just sitting here doing nothing. Oh, people are just messaging me and Airbnb is getting full. You know, that doesn't happen anymore. There was a time when that would happen, but not anymore. Hold on, let me turn this on, but I can't have this hitting me because like the dust flies around and makes me cough. All right, there we go. RKERTV says, is MD Digital your company? Yes. I only work for myself. Well, I work for my company works for clients, and I'm trying to get away from client work eventually. I think but I love my clients. Working for my clients is like not working for someone. It's working with someone. I feel like they're partners. That's why it's so hard to detach from that, because I love what I do with the digital marketing company and my clients. Again, my oldest client is like 9 years old. He's been my client for 9 years. They've got a giant business now. And then my second biggest client is like 6-year-old client, 7-year-old client that we've worked together for. So it's just like they're business partners at this point. Let's see. B2 says it's much better if turkeys live outdoors. What? Turkeys? Turnkey. Well, is that what he's asking, or was he asking about turkeys? I don't think I've ever seen a wild turkey in Colombia. Oh, yeah, I have. Yeah. Yeah, not a turkey, but what are those things? A peacock. I've seen like a peacock here. Jeppy says, I've noticed numerous available Airbnb bookings 2024. Many apartments are wide open for months, even weekly stays, with plenty of vacancies visible. What are your thoughts on this? That's a really great point, Jepp. Before, there was a shortage on the availability of apartments. There wasn't enough Airbnb apartments, but the demand was high. So I wouldn't have to do anything on Airbnb. People would message me or book right away without even talking to me. Now there is an abundance of apartments on Airbnb. So people have to lower their prices in order to fill them. That's been my experience and all the people that I know here. So one of the things that I really wanted to do when we first bought our first apartments in 2018, 2019, when we put them first on Airbnb, was that we don't want to be the middle of the road Airbnb. We want to be in a nice area, but be a great apartment. It's kind of the opposite of what you learn in real estate in the United States. When I was studying real estate in the United States, one of the things that they tell you as advice as a real estate investor is that you never want to be the prettiest girl on the block. You never want to be the nicest house in your neighborhood, because the comps are going to be against your favor, right? They're not going to be for you, right? Everybody that's selling apartments on there, they're going to look at you as the top notch and the highest price. So when you go to sell, you can't really expect to make a lot of money off of your sale, because you are the top property in your neighborhood. The opposite is true here, because for one, there really isn't any comps in Colombia, because there's really no MLS. There's no way to check and verify what's been sold. And on top of that, the market is a cash market here. There's no mortgages on properties. I think the last stat that I read was that about 4% of all the properties in Colombia have a mortgage on it. Only 4%. That means 96% of the properties that you see out here are owned outright cash. So what does that mean for Airbnb? It means that now people have bought a bunch of apartments, have made them look nice or whatever, like middle of the road nice, and all of those are vacant now because they don't have anything that stands out about them. Mine, I remodeled them. I put in between $30,000 to $50,000 into the remodel of my apartments. That's a lot in Colombia. So they look top notch. When people go in there, this is a comment that I have. Like, for example, the people that just came in, and I checked in this afternoon or at 2 p.m. today in one of the apartments, the oldest apartment, mind you. The first thing they said, wow, this looks better than the pictures. And that is a resounding testimony of everybody that goes through these apartments. That's what I was going for. I was going for people coming in and being like, I didn't expect this. I saw the pictures, and usually the pictures don't, they over embellish the apartment. They make the apartment look picture perfect. When you walk into my apartments, the apartment itself is better than what you see in the picture. And then on top of that, the location is in Manila, so you can walk to your favorite cafes, restaurants, Spanish school, gym, grocery store, Provenza, Parque Lleras, Parque Poblado, metro station, the location, plus I'm in a very niche market, which is middle of the road, high end though. It's in an apartment building with no security guard. But it's the nicest apartment in the whole building, and people are paying for that, and I don't have a problem filling it. So my thoughts on the people that are not filling their apartments: step up your game, get a designer, get better amenities in your apartment, have a electric washer and have a dishwasher. I have a dishwasher. In Colombia, it's not normal to have dishwashers in your apartments. I have both dryer and washer. I have everything that you would need to live long-term in Colombia in an apartment, like the standards that you have in the U.S. Sam says, would it be possible to get a video with a local government official to talk about the changes in Medellin? I could try. Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be super cool. I would love that. Johnny V says, people don't use carpet in Colombia. 150-year-old tiles last forever. Yeah, that's why I would say you do the market research on the carpet stuff. I'm not saying you can't make money, because I don't know. Nifty 50 says, yep, 50 millimeters. Yeah, 1.8 lens. I'm a film marketer, editor. Wow, would be sweet to link up. Yeah, I would love that. Currently going with a couple of remote gigs in the U.S. already. It's been so stressful and logistical time sink. Yeah, that's what happens with those with those jobs where you have to be there. It's tough. What about editing? You can edit remote. By the way, those guys just joining, my girlfriend got this for my birthday, so I'm having my first cup. Wait, let me see. Flor de Caña, 12 years. Yeah, it's really darn good. Nicaragua. Nicaragua. That always reminds me of the Beavis and Butthead movie. Yeah, so that's been my journey from 2010 up until now. So I basically gave you a really good detailed review of my life between 2010 to 2018. Then the pandemic hit. And now at 2024, I still have the digital marketing company, which is my primary source of income. My dad is my accountant in the US. He's my accountant in the US. I have an accountant here in Colombia. I've got two personal assistants, including my girlfriend, who's a personal assistant. Yeah, it's like she's pregnant, so she can't. She's also a nurse, so she can't really work. So I'm like, okay, I need you to run the digital marketing ads and posts for the Airbnb business, and she's been really good at that. Because, like I said, we're full until like July. Basically, we have some holes like in April, but July up until July we're booked. So that's amazing. So she's just dedicated on that. My brother works with me. He's basically my business partner in the marketing business, in the digital marketing business. I've got a programmer on staff as well. I've got some writers that I pay as well as independent contractors, and a ton of other contractors, independent contractors that I use for SEO purposes. So that's my primary source of income. My secondary source of income is the Airbnb business, because obviously I switched from just doing monthlies. Monthlies are way easier to manage, but you also have more vacancies on monthlies because sometimes you could be like 2 weeks, even a month without somebody coming in and booking your place for a long-term stay. So I switched over from monthlies to dailies in November. And since November, we've just been like at 90% occupancy on the apartments. It's a lot more work. Our cleaning lady, I think she likes it. She's such a great cleaning lady, but it's been more work. I do the check-ins myself. I do the checkouts myself. I make friends with them. Like the people that stay in my Airbnbs become like long-term friends with me, because usually it's like either couples that are single or like a single guy that will come in and rent my 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment for a few days, a week, a month. And then I'm like, oh, what are you doing tonight? We're going to go watch football with a couple friends. They'll tag along and we just become friends. Yes, remote editing. I meant the moving process from LA to Colombia. Oh, yeah. So many places to get it done. Yeah. So many pieces to get it done. Yeah, moving is a big one. That's a big one. Big up Flor de Caña, solid. Yeah, I've never had it. This is the first time I have. Let's see pictures. You want to see pictures of my apartments? I can show you pictures. I can share my screen. Let's see. Airbnb. I'll show you the one that I checked in today. Listings. Yeah, this is the one that I checked in today. Let me see. I'll share my screen so you guys can see it. Let's see. Share screen. Oh, there it is. Can I move it? No, I can't move it. Okay. All right. So this is that apartment. Excuse me. So this is an apartment that cost me about 72. Sorry. You're going to hate me for this. In 2018, late 2018, I bought this for about $70,000, maybe a little less. $70,000. I put about $30,000 into it. And I rent it for between $2,000 to $2,500 per month here. Why can't I scroll through these? Oh, wait, never mind. That's the living room. That's kind of like the one that people like to look at. This is the kitchen area. Everything is pretty much custom made, like including these chairs, etc. It's a 2-bedroom. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We converted it into a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Full kitchen. Yeah, I love this place. That's like the American bar. So there's no real dining table. There's a dining nook. The dining area right here, this little nook that we made that doubles for like a working space if people want to work there. But most people just go to the co-working space in this neighborhood. This is one of the bedrooms. It's just done really nice. Like this, there's another apartment in the building that looks very similar to this because we built it. But yeah, like every other apartment in here looks like it's like 20 to 30 years old compared to this. So that's the main difference is being able to set yourself aside or apart in the market. Because the people that are paying more for apartments here in Medellin are paying more money for like penthouses, etc. I'm interested in your moving to Colombia course. A little expensive though. Yeah. Again, well, let me explain to you why it's $1,500, Shaw. So the Medellin Masterclass, our flagship $1,500 course, is it took us 200 plus hours to create. It's 6 hours worth of content, and those 6 hours are broken down into 21 modules where we teach you step by step from something as simple as renting an apartment off of, not on Airbnb, but off of Airbnb, how to find a good deal, to having our visa attorneys explain to you every option that you have as a foreigner for visas here in Colombia, to the purchasing of a property, what the process is like, how you bring money over from the United States if you don't have a local bank account, the importance of registering it with the central bank in Colombia, to vetting a real estate agent, vetting a real estate attorney, to something as simple as creating a community out here. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do? Oh, there's a community for that. And we show you exactly where they are. Every module that is important, like real estate, renting an apartment, hiring people, getting a visa, every module that's important like that, we have a list, a spreadsheet with all of our personal contacts that we've vetted. Our team spent hours contacting these people to make sure that they speak English, that they are reputable, that they have a legal business here, and or they're just a professional in their trade, including like a health insurance person that speaks English that could set you up with health insurance. So this is not your Mickey Mouse shitty little, oh, I'll teach you how to live in Colombia and then let you go at it. On top of that, when you join the Medellin Masterclass, once you're done, we have a call with you one-on-one with me and AK to answer any of your questions, because most people have a ton of questions after that. And then we add you to our WhatsApp group with 20 other people that have taken the Masterclass. Half of them are already living here, have already bought an apartment, and are living their dream life and have gone through the course. And the other half are taking the course in the United States or in the UK, wherever they are in the world, and they're preparing to move down here. So you already have a core group of people that you know in Colombia that are doing the same thing that you're doing, that can answer a ton of questions and or meet up, because we do a meetup once a month physically here in Medellin, and then a Zoom call every month with everybody on the call, and we have a certain topic. And on top of that, we have small events like the real estate mastermind event that we have on the 27th. That's going to be Saturday, 27th, the Medellin Masterclass Real Estate Mastermind, where I invite all of my friends that own properties out here, the real estate agents that are on my contacts lists, etc., where we have a guest speaker and we interview them, and it's a networking event for people that are interested in real estate in Medellin to ask about their process or whatever. So again, that's why it should be more money, to be honest. We started selling it at $999, and everyone that took it, the first 10 people that took it, told us, you guys got to sell it for more. I've already saved over that amount in the 2 months I've been here, because I did what you guys told me to do in the renting module. Like literally on rent, you'll save that much money and more throughout the year. So that's why it costs what it costs. And then on top of that, we have an elite package. So if you go through the Medellin Masterclass and you're like, shoot, there's a ton of stuff that I need to do, I don't want to do it. I have a business to run, or I've got things to do, I don't have the time. I want to hire you and AK to do it. You can hire us for $5,000. We have 3 elite members that we've helped purchase property out here. We've got a new one that wants to buy a property out here. These are people that are business owners or professionals or families that just say, we don't have the time for all of this. You set up the calls with the real estate agents, show us apartments, help us through the deal. work with us with the real estate attorney, work with us with the visa attorney, and we basically do everything for you. So there's that as well. So if you think $1,500 is a lot, there's people paying $5,000 for us to do everything for them to make their transition as smooth as possible. But the testimonials speak for themselves. I could tell you I could talk my head off about the Medellin Masterclass all day. All you got to do is go to the website and listen to the testimonials that we've recorded on there from real people. Pillow Guy. What's up, Pillow Guy? Nifty 50 with real estate. Do you have to pay in full or is it a standard mortgage type deal? What's the usual percentage for down payment? Do a lot of buildings have rules against short term? A lot of buildings with homeowners associations have short-term restrictions. Yes, absolutely. Also, there's, again, 96%, according to the latest stats on this, 96% of all of the real estate owned in Colombia is owned outright. Only 4% has a mortgage attached to it. So that tells you a lot about the lending industry in Colombia, which is basically non-existent or very, very small. Even for a Colombian to get a mortgage, it's hard. So this is what you have to do. I've got a mortgage on one of my apartments. The one that I own in Bello has a mortgage. I got it through a pre-construction deal, and I just rent it to a Colombian family. So that apartment or that process of getting a mortgage, number one, you have to have established Colombian credit. Just like in the United States, Colombia has a point system for your credit, kind of like a FICO score. They use a very, very similar system. So you've got to build up your credit in order to have a great enough credit to be able to get credit cards or loans out here. So there's that. You've got to have credit. You've got to have income coming in, verifiable income, etc. Just the normal stuff that you would in the United States to get a loan. On top of that, the loan will only cover 70% of the purchase price. You have to come up with 30% down. That's why when someone out here will tell you, oh, Medellin is a bubble, it's going to be a real estate bubble. You should definitely, number one, that will tell you right away that this person knows nothing about real estate, because there is no bubble, because there is no lending. There's no secondary lending. There's no home equity lines of credit out here. There's nobody taking advantage of that. Nobody's getting loans like for $500,000 properties with just a $2,000 income, like in the United States, where these loans will inflate prices because people have access to credit. In Colombia, you have less access to credit. It's a cash system where even if you do get credit, you're getting a mortgage for 70% over 15 years, and it's a fixed interest rate at about 18% plus. So that's the reality of real estate in Colombia. So if you're leveraging the bank here is not really leveraging. It's not so beneficial. That's why so many people would rather just save up as much money as possible to be able to pay it outright, because you're not really taking advantage of anything if those are the terms for lending. So the market is not being driven up by or inflated by easy access to cash or easy access to credit, like in 2005, 2007, the United States, where there was a real bubble, a real estate bubble that happened. Have you or anyone you know had a problem with HOAs before? Yes, a lot of people have had problems with HOAs because they were catering to dailies, and then all of a sudden HOA changed their policy that you can't rent for less than 30 days. Most HOAs in newer buildings will have a policy that you can't do rentals for less than 30 days. So you can't do daily rentals. You have to do long-term rentals. I don't have a problem with that because I am the HOA. Nifty 50, copy that. Nah, I didn't hear that part. YouTubing and driving. Oh. What else? Did I miss anything here? Medellin Buzz. Jep says, Medellin Buzz, are your properties in El Poblado, Laureles, with the balcony, pool, gyms? No, my properties, like the one that you saw, is in a 5-story building. It's on the 5th floor. It's got no balcony. It's got somewhat of a view. It's in El Poblado in Barrio Manila. That's the draw. Number one, the pictures are the draw because it's a beautiful apartment. Number two, the other draw is number one. The draw. I think the biggest draw for people when they see it is that they can't believe that it's only $2,000 or $2,500 for what they see in the pictures. But then they realize, oh, there's no balcony, there's no pool, there's no security guard. And then they look at where it's located. It's right in Manila, next to all of the restaurants, all of the things to do, and it's walking distance from everything, but away from the noise. So it's like in a family-oriented neighborhood, kind of, because there are some hostels and hotels in there, but it's still like Colombian-type neighborhood, but walking distance from Provenza, walking distance from Parque Poblao, walking distance from, what do you call it, from the metro, from the ciclovia, etc. So the location is number one for me. Like I'm never gonna rent. I'm never gonna buy a property in Laureles to try to make a lot of cash on Airbnb. I'll tell you that right now. And everybody that ever asks, all of our elite members that have bought properties here and we've helped, they're looking in El Poblado because they're gonna live here part time and rent out part time. And if you're doing that, El Poblado is where people are coming. That like literally, if 1.5 million people came last year to Medellin, I would say the majority of those people went through El Poblado if they were first timers. If you're a first timer, you're coming through El Poblado, and those are the people that are going to be paying the most money because they want to be in a safe area next to all of the things that are happening in the city. They're not going to be paying top dollar to be in fucking Laureles, where I have to take an Uber to get to Provenza, and I'm only going to be here for, a weekend or 2 weeks. That's the drawback with Laureles. Laureles is awesome if you're going to live in there, but if you want to make money on Airbnb, it's like renting in downtown LA, or are you going to rent in a suburb? Downtown LA is going to get way more frequency of travelers and renters and top-notch prices. That's just the way it is, and people that disagree with that just don't know. 916, do you always use the same contractor with your remodels? Yes. Duvan, I interviewed him on the Time Kettle video, the video where I did the promo for the Time Kettle earbuds. He was one of the guys that I interviewed at the end. He was the last interview, Duvan, and I have his contact information right there in the description of that video and also in the pinned comment. The best contractor I've found out here. He's awesome. He's super busy, but he's awesome. If you can lock him down, he's awesome. How much of your income would you say you save per month? How much of my income? I would say 90. I would say a good 90%. Well, okay, being conservative, I like being conservative. Let's say 80% of my income I save per month. That's net income across all of my income streams. Because imagine, to live my life in Colombia, I spend about $2,500 max per month to live my life, and that's a lot because my rent's only $450. But that's a lot. Now that I have a girlfriend that's having a baby, the expenses have gone up. We've got doctors stuff, although doctors and stuff, medical stuff doesn't. I've spent almost nothing on medical stuff. It's more like getting the crib made. I'm going to have a custom crib made that also has like a pull-out bed for the night nurse and or for her if she ever wants to sleep next to the baby. Excuse me. Just things like that I've got added expenses, but it's good. B2 says, when you say you're watching football, are you talking about football, soccer, American football, baby? Let's see. We got the Dolphins playing the Chiefs tonight. Is that what it is? Let me see. NFL. Yeah, Dolphins and the Chiefs are starting in about 15 minutes. I'll be watching that. I missed the early game because, I was dealing with Airbnbs coming in, and I was dealing with videos that I'm making for the Medellin Masterclass and also digital marketing stuff. I had to learn Bright Local. I don't know if you know what Bright Local is, but I had to learn it. Learned it in like 2 hours, and now we're good to go with that. So yeah, today I have like that's one of the complaints that I've always had with all the girlfriends I've ever had here is that I don't ever have time, or that I don't do extra things. Like, I'm like, what more extra do you want me to do? I missed the gym today, but I'm okay missing gym on Saturday and Sunday. Tomorrow I'll go to Ciclovia, get some cardio in. But Monday through Friday, I go to the gym, whether I like it or not, even if it's just a walk on the treadmill. If I'm tired and I don't want to go, I force myself to go just to walk on the treadmill and try to do something, right? So that's been like my New Year's resolution, and that's what I've held on to this year so far. I appreciate the smooth transition from talking about your contractor to the custom cribs. Yeah, pun intended. Yeah, I have. So my contractor, he does the construction work, but I have a carpenter friend. She is amazing, Lily. She does all the carpentry work for me, for my apartments, and I'm gonna have her make a custom stand-up desk for me because I don't like sitting the whole time. I want to have one of those that I can stand up. But that's gonna be after the custom cribs. There's these cribs that that are cribs, but that as the kid grows, they turn into beds, and also there's a fold-out bed underneath so that the night nurse could sleep there, or me or Manu could sleep there, and to take care of the baby, etc. And then as he grows, he could have his own bed, up until like 6 years old or 7 years old until he gets way too big. Hopefully he'll be giant because he'll be the next Colombian NBA star. But yeah, so she's doing that. That's amazing. Juan Palacio says you're spending here 2,500 and saving 80%. No. 2,500 is about what, 20% of or less, 15, yeah, about 20%, 15% of my total income. if that, I don't know. That's a great, here, I'll tell you right now. Let's do some numbers. Wait, where's my calculeta? I should know this off the top of my head. So per month, roughly, we make this. Times 0.15. What is that? Okay. So I was way off, guys. Yeah, it's not even 15%. It's less. Of my total income, I spend about 10%. About a little less than 10%. It would be more accurate would be 7%. That's what I spend on my life, which is 2,500. So you could do the reverse math there and figure out about what we're generating per month of net income, not gross. Yeah, my plan is to buy 2 properties, one to rent out, which will pay for my expenses. Good idea, because it could definitely for the month, and the other to live in 6 months and then rent out 6 months when I'm not in the country. Good plan. Yeah, that's a great plan. But again, you're going to want to have someone helping you to make sure that those vacancies are filled, because they're not going to fill themselves. You definitely have to have someone helping you to fill those. And hiring a personal assistant here is easy and cheap. Just make sure that you do it the right way. Make sure that you're complying to all the legalities of hiring an independent contractor. Yeah, it's a little bit more, Jeff, but yeah, I don't like to talk about money. I don't think it's kosher. I mean, it's not, I don't know. It feels kind of rude. I don't like to do that. But yeah, that's regular months. And that's not even including the Medellin masterclass. That's just literally digital marketing income. Oh my God. So we're talking about even less. All right. So I don't want to talk about that. My monthly income, it makes me uncomfortable. And also I believe that talking about money is not necessary. It's talking about goals and dreams and the plan to achieve those goals and dreams. So the goals and dreams. So I told you my life from getting here in 2010, completely broke and deported, to 2024, owning a couple of businesses and properties out here, and also creating this channel, which is I consult with a therapist. I have for years now. I think it's one of the biggest benefits that has happened in my life, and I highly recommend it, even if it's through like an app like BetterHelp.com. It's a competitor to my to one of my clients, But BetterHelp is great because it's not really a direct competitor, but it's one of the competition. I wish BetterHelp were my client. My expenses per month would probably be a fraction of what it is now if I had that as a client. But BetterHelp.com, I'm not affiliated with them. They are a great start to therapy, and so my therapist loves that I've created this channel because it's a mental health outlet for me. I'm able to express myself. I'm able to set goals and hold myself accountable, because imagine if I'm telling you that I'm going to do something and then I don't do it, I have to face you and face myself in those videos. So it's such a great tool for me, and it's definitely part of my growth, and it's part of my goals for 2024 to develop this channel and hopefully make friends with a lot of you in these live events that I'm going to have every single month. The first one is going to be on Thursday, the 25th of January. We're going to meet up live. If you want to come, hit the link in the description below to the Facebook group, RSVP on there. We'll get a head count. I don't think we could have more than 50 people, but even if it's just 5 people, I don't care. I just want to meet you guys, have fun with you, and learn about you, because really this is what it is. Let's get that million 2024. We're gonna get there. And you know what they say, shoot for the stars, because even if you don't get to shoot for the moon, because even if you don't get to the moon, you'll be amongst the stars, baby. That's what it is. Would you recommend against sending a child to a public school in Colombia? No, I wouldn't, but Ryan, good question. I'm not opposed to public schooling. There are some really good public schools in Medellin too. And the great thing about Colombia and sending kids to school is that they don't really have boundaries like public schools do in the United States, where you have to live in a certain address or zip code in order to send a kid to that school. And he doesn't have to have that address here. As long as you have the means to get the kid to a school, he could go and be enrolled in that school, or she. But the private schools here are also awesome. Like Columbus School, I'm in love with Columbus School. I wish I would have gone there when I was a kid. I wish I could go there now. They're like a university. Being useful to a community is a great way to help yourself in the process. Rock on, brother. Thank you, Buddha. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Jeb says, Mark, you are at age where do you change this American girl in the universities and go to spring? Wait, what? Did I miss something? Unfriendly stoic. You got a real inspirational story. It feels so good to hear that, because I never really saw it as that as you're going through it, right? It's like Kobe Bryant said, the dream is not where you get in life, right? The dream is not winning the championship. The dream is not getting the gold medal. The dream is the journey of getting there. Because when you look back, it'll just be an achievement, but your memories will live on of that journey, right? That the memories of the journey will live on. So I always remember that now, looking back and in the future. Like, I'm enjoying this right now. I have less than 5,000 subscribers. That's baby stuff compared to some of these huge YouTubers out there. But I'm enjoying every second of this journey. As you can tell, I've been live for how many hours now? It's been 2 hours and 2 minutes, guys, and it's felt like 20 minutes. I haven't even I went through halfway of my drink, because I've been having such a great time talking to you guys and sharing with you guys. It's such a great feeling. This is amazing. All of us lack on something. We need to be better. We need to be better. Even compete with yourself. Yeah, always compete with yourself, not with others. Yeah, don't measure yourself against other people's successes. Just measure yourself against yourself. Somebody said, you can't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 12. For me, this is chapter 14 in my journey in Medellin. What chapter are you on? Don't compare your life to my life, because I'm on chapter 14 of my journey in Medellin. You might just be in chapter 1 or chapter 2. Eventually, just focus on your chapter and developing your life. That's what I've been doing. I've got some friends here that are multimillionaires. I don't compare myself to them. I learn from them and work on my own chapter, because Eventually, I will be there if I continue to work. And even if I don't get there, I'll be in such a great place that life will still be amazing. And that's what it is. Jep says, can you verify if most buildings in Medellin don't allow weekly rentals, making monthly rentals more common? In that case, which option would ideally yield higher income for investors? A great question, Jep. In my experience, the newer buildings, the buildings with an HOA, the buildings with a security guard, newer buildings, like meaning like 20 years and less, maybe even 30 years and less, that have basically any building, even if it's an old building, any building that has an HOA and has a portero or a security guard and is gated in El Poblado will probably have something against dailies in their HOA restrictions. So you will only be able to do monthlies. Some of those are you will find apartments that do allow for dailies though, and it's in the HOA because a lot of them maybe are doing dailies. But for the most part, most of these buildings are filled with Colombians living in them, sometimes families. They don't want a bunch of people coming in just for weekend visits to party all weekend or even all week, bringing prostitutes over, doing drugs, getting drunk, causing scenes, making a bunch of noise in these apartment buildings. So that's why they implemented those, because they were having a lot of problems with that when it wasn't regulated, when there was no restriction. The best thing that I've done was buy properties in buildings that have zero HOA, that don't have a security guard, that it's just a standalone building with no elevator, 5 stories tall, where I can start buying one unit after the other so that I can become the HOA. Because once you have the majority, because you still have to vote on shit here, even just to pay the utilities in the building, we all take turns, right? For the common space, like the hallway lights and stuff, right? All that has to be paid communally, but there's always voting for stuff too. Like, for example, we want to put a gate. You got to vote on that. We want to change the intercom system because it was fucking 30 years old and nobody wanted to put money towards it. We had to vote on that. Everybody has to chip in. They're not going to chip in because Colombians are a little stingy and they don't chip in. They don't reply. They don't want to invest into their own buildings. A lot of these people that own the apartments in these buildings are old and they're old school and they don't even live here, some of them. So it was a grind to get this, but once you have it, you could do whatever you want with them. You have less restrictions. So that's been my cup of tea, is instead of buying properties in buildings that have HOAs and security guards, I'd rather have them in Manila with no security guard, no HOA, and I could do whatever I want to it and with the least amount of resistance. Not like I could do whatever I want, but I have less resistance. Does that make sense? EST, that's awesome that you intentionally leverage your large audience to hold you accountable to goals. It's got to be this way, man. It's only going to make me better. It's painful. Discipline is painful and accountability is painful, but it's only going to make me better, man. It's only going to, hey, what's up, Leo? What's the status on the rooftop? It's off, bro. We had to bring it down. We didn't have legal access to that legally. We weren't supposed to build there, so we had to bring everything down. Costly mistake, but we learned. So no rooftop, unfortunately. I can't have my sauna and go naked up there. My sauna, my jacuzzi. Family Sanchez, are you down to meet up? I'm heading there before March. Yes, I'm doing a monthly meetup, bro. Every month, the second to last Thursday. Is that right? Let me see. Okay, so the last Thursday of every month, I'm going to do a meetup, a Medellin Buzz meetup, where I'll have a destination. Make sure that you follow on it. The link is in the description below to the Facebook page, the Medellin Buzz Facebook page. That's where I create the event. This month, it's going to be Thursday the 25th. Next month in February, it's going to be Thursday, probably the 29th. Maybe the 22nd. I'll figure that one out because the month ends on a Thursday. So it might be the 22nd or the 29th, but I will have it announced ahead of time with the destination. You'll just RSVP there and we'll all meet. Again, like I said, even if it's just a few of us, I just want to meet you guys, have a fun time, share a couple drinks, or maybe just have a meal or coffee or whatever and talk. Sanchez says, are you down to meet up? Oh, yeah, I already read that. Yabba Dabba Doo says, did I miss your answer? Is there a website where you can see your carpenter's work. Yeah, hecho por Lily. Here, I'll Instagram. She's got an Instagram. Here. She hasn't really built her Instagram out that much, but I'll put it in the chat here. This is Carpenter's Instagram right there. Hecho por Lily. You'll see some of my apartments in there. She only has a few updates up there, but all the carpentry and stuff and design. She's a designer. She's like she'll on AutoCAD, she will design the apartment. So she's our designer, carpenter, and she works with our contractor to build our stuff. So all the carpentry work that you see in that that Instagram page, that's made by her. She's awesome. Definitely love it. John Knox, what's up? I'd never buy a property or rent somewhere with an HOA. Thankfully, we don't have them in the UK. I've heard a lot of bad things about HOAs from America. Yeah, HOA is just, I didn't want to deal with it. For example, if I had a high-end property, like in a penthouse, like my friend Rick has, he has 22 properties. I think he's up to 24 now. 24 properties, Rick, and all of them are buildings with HOA, but he has like the penthouse units. Like beautiful units with most of them have HOAs, and he only does monthlies. So his business is a lot more manageable too. Because imagine managing 24 properties, doing dailies. You need a team of people to manage that, to do check-ins, to be on call if someone gets locked out. This happens all the time. Someone gets locked out, the code didn't work, the washing machine's not working, the water is not hot, the water's too cold, the electricity, something's wrong with it, the internet went down. Bro, there's like imagine, I only have a couple. Imagine having 24. You need an army. But if you have monthlies and an HOA, it's more manageable. It's more manageable, and you could charge more if you've got like the penthouse unit. Due to recent killings of Americans, don't you think every tourist is pressured to rent a building with 24/7 security? That's like a catch-22 situation with these buildings. Don't allow daily rentals. I think once you get here, you'll realize that that's not the case, Jep. I completely understand and agree. If you've never been to Medellin, or if you've had limited time in Medellin and you're coming back and you want to be safe, absolutely. But people that are frequent, most of my people that come to my apartments have been to Medellin many times, and they want something nice in a very central location, and not be bothered and have a good time in Medellin. So they'll and they know what the deal is in Medellin. They know they're not going to really get robbed in Manila. They're not giving papaya. They know they know the routine type stuff. So in the 4 years that I've had Airbnbs, I've never had one incident with somebody getting one incident of a couple that got robbed on the street in the 4 years, unfortunately. But that's it. But I do understand. Yes, I do agree. I think that you should go for something that makes you feel safe. If it's your first time, you're not aware of what safety is like in Medellin. Absolutely, get an apartment that has a security guard, etc. If you're coming by yourself and you're new to the city, or you've just been here a couple times and you still don't have your bearings down here, you definitely want to do that. Absolutely. Can't say more about that. Thanks. My apartment building, my apartment's being built out now. Nice. We'll reach out next trip. Let's go. We'll buy you those beers. Let's go. Yeah, but that would do. Buddha says, I don't mess with Facebook. You may benefit from posting meetups in an additional neutral way, like a blog post or website. Yeah, I used this other app for our exclusive groups. For the Medellin Masterclass, like real estate meetups, like those exclusive groups, I use an app, like a meetup app for that. That's definitely more verifiable. But for this, if we get 5 people or 1,000 people, I'm happy to begin with. Maybe as the community grows and it just gets too giant, I might switch over to something more private. But for now, this is the first time. It's okay. Zombie says security isn't the issue. It's their actions that get them into trouble. Yeah, because a lot of the people that have been found dead in their hotels or in their apartments were in hotels or apartments that had security guards. So that's not really like a steel gate or an iron gate for security, right? Buddha says you can do more to keep yourself safe than a doorman could ever. True. Exactly. Very good point, Buddha. Buddha, that's the quote of the night right there. You can do more to keep yourself safe than the doorman could ever could. Yeah. So guys, that's it for me. It's been 2 hours and 15 minutes. Yeah, 2 hours and 13 minutes. Sorry, 14 minutes and counting. Thank you guys so much for being here. I always enjoy these lives. I've committed to doing a live every single week, twice a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays. If you're watching this on the replay, make sure to hit the like button if you guys would. If you're watching still, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel because I do go live frequently and I upload videos constantly. I'm growing this community and I'm documenting my process of my entrepreneurial journey in Medellin and my fatherhood now in Medellin for you to learn from and also for me to take your advice at times and learn from you. Love you guys. Hope you guys have a great night and I'll see you guys next